So if you don't know, gimbal is handheld stabilizer for your camera. So as you can see, if I pick this up, the camera stays in place no matter what I do. So this is really useful tool. And why this Ronin SE2 is the perfect gimbal for your camera, you will see in this video. First of all, this gimbal has improved payload over its predecessor, so now it supports up to 3 kilograms, which is more than enough for almost any DSLR or mirrorless camera. Even if you have something bigger, like for example Canon ATD with Sigma 18-35, that's not a light setup, but this gimbal still carries it perfectly. Secondly, build quality. This gimbal is just built like a tank. It's all made from metal, so this is all metal, and it feels absolutely amazing in hand. They added this small screen right here, and that's also amazing, because on previous generations of Ronin gimbals you needed to do everything on your phone with an app. Now you can do almost anything just on this screen. This is just a simple black and white screen, and you have few buttons around it to control your settings, but that's really all you need. In this version they also added axis locks, so you can lock all 3 axes of this gimbal. As you can see, now the camera is spinning around, but I can lock this axis, I can lock this axis, and also this, and now the camera stays perfectly in place. That's again amazing for the transport, but also it makes balancing the camera really easy on this gimbal. So when you have balanced your camera on a gimbal, you just need to make sure that it stays in place wherever you put it. That means it's balanced, and you just turn the gimbal on. You need to wait a few seconds, and after that you will see gimbal is practically ready to go. So the setup process of this gimbal is relatively simple, and you can do it relatively fast, so that's all good. Now when the gimbal is turned on and functional, we will go through some modes of this gimbal. I will not go in extreme details about this. If you want more detailed video about modes on this gimbal, write down in the comments, I will make it. First of all, we have simple pen follow mode, so the gimbal will follow this motion right here, so it will follow your pens, but it will stabilize the tilt axis and also the roll axis. Then if we press this button at front, we go to the second mode, which is pen tilt follow mode, so it will follow your pens again, but it will also follow the tilt axis, so you can see you can go up and down like this. And the third mode is FPV mode, so it can follow pen axis, tilt axis, and also roll axis, so you can make some really cool shots with this mode if you need it. But to be honest, most of the time I use it in pen follow mode, so it stabilizes everything except the pen axis. If I need to tilt camera down, I have this joystick around the back, so I just tilt it with the joystick and it stays in that direction all of the time. Then on front we have this trigger right here, and if we hold that trigger, you can see camera locks in place, and whatever we do, camera will not move at all. So you can, for example, film something like this, and then if you decide you want your camera locked, you just press this trigger right here and the camera stays locked, and you can do anything you want. It will stay in place. We also have some other cool modes, like for example portrait mode, and now you can shoot portrait videos for your Instagram stories or something like that. As you can see, that's also pretty cool if you need it. And it also has a 360 mode, so it goes like this, and now it can rotate, and you can also make some really nice moves and nice shots in this mode. That's not all. Maybe you noticed this gimbal has this hinge mechanism right here. We can actually fold this hinge right here like this, and now we can of course take these tripod legs off, and if we wake up the gimbal, we have an underslung mode, which is really cool. So this is probably one of the selling points of this gimbal. It's really nice to have this mode, so you can shoot stuff really low to the ground like this. So yeah, this is really cool, and I think this is the only gimbal that does this mode like this. We can also take our tripod legs and screw them here at the top. And now we have this underslung mode, but we can hold the camera with two hands. Again, it can also be useful sometimes. We can also put the camera like this, so that can also be useful. Of course, now we can shoot that vertical video like this, and this is really easy on your hands because you have 2 points of grip, so that's really nice to use. As you can see, this gimbal is really flexible in terms of all the modes you can use it in. So this hinge is probably one of the selling points of this gimbal. It unlocks a ton of possibilities, and I really like this mechanism right here. And that hinge is also helpful for the transport of the gimbal, so you just take the camera off like this. And we have quick release plates, so this one is 𝗟𝗶𝗁 and this one here is 𝗬𝗺𝗀𝗀. So you can just take the camera from the gimbal and put it on your tripod, for example. But now we just lock the axis like this, as you can see, and we just again fold this hinge. And if we unscrew this tripod, as you can see, this is now really small. We can actually even remove this plate and collapse this even further. So yeah, this is absolutely amazing gimbal for transport, but even in its working position, it's still one of the smallest gimbals, and considering all the features it has, I think it's really small and quite light for what it offers. This gimbal has new and improved Titan stabilization algorithm, and I think it's absolutely amazing. So I don't even think we need to talk about stabilization. You saw it. It's probably one of the best. Now let's go over some special features of this gimbal. We'll quickly go through the app on the phone. One weird thing about the app on the phone is that you need to turn on your location just to connect to the gimbal. So that's really weird, because this gimbal doesn't have any features that have anything to do with your location. And one annoying thing about the app is that when you first turn on the gimbal, you can't really use it until you make an account on this DJI app. Again, it's not a huge problem, you only do it once and it takes just a few minutes. So in the app you can, for example, control the gimbal like this, so you have a joystick on your screen. You also have a cool feature called Force Mobile, so the gimbal will follow the movement of your phone. So yeah, it works perfectly well, as you can see. So it's a really cool feature. You also have a panorama mode, so you can set the start and end point of your panorama. You have a time lapse, so you can turn your camera into time lapse mode, and the gimbal will again automatically move your camera slowly and make a nice time lapse. You can also program movements on this gimbal, so you can set, for example, start point, and then gimbal will automatically move to the points you set in the app. So as you can see, now it goes down and right. That's all programmed in the app, and you can do some really cool special effects with that. So again, that's pretty cool. And lastly, you can connect, for example, Xbox or PlayStation 4 controller on your phone and control the gimbal with controller. You also have a balance test, so the gimbal will test itself and see if it's balanced or not. You also have motor parameters, so stiffness and strength of your motors. But you have a function called Autotune, which will automatically tune the motors. I had a small problem with this Autotune feature, and that is if I put this lens support on a gimbal. So this is meant to hold your lens like this if you have bigger and longer lenses. But every time I put this on a gimbal, Autotune messes the tuning and gimbal starts shaking and vibrating like crazy. But then after a few days I realized when I remove this, Autotune works perfectly fine. And when I put it back, again Autotune messes up. So I don't really know why this little piece of plastic makes that much problems, but I just removed it and now Autotune works perfectly fine. So again, not really a problem. You also have this front dial right here, and you can program it to do almost anything you want. You can change focus on your lens, you can change exposure, aperture, ISO. I will now do tilt, and now if I move this knob I can control the tilt axis, so you can really customize this gimbal to how you like using it. It also has these NATO mounts on both sides, so you can mount, for example, another handle here, or maybe your screen. You can mount monitor right here or something like that. You have a recording button right here, so you can start and stop recording and even take photos there directly from the gimbal. For that you will need this USB cable. Again, all of the cables are provided with your gimbal. So for this exact camera I need a USB-C to mini USB connection, but you get cables for almost any camera system right in the box, so you don't have to do or buy anything else. You can also add a focus motor or a zoom motor or even a 𝗬𝗏𝗍 image transmission system that goes here and connects here. So you can really build up this gimbal a lot. But yeah, now we connected the camera and now I can start recording by just pressing this button right here. And I don't know if you can see, but now the camera is recording. If I press this button again, camera stops recording. So right now I'm recording on a Canon 700D. As you can see, it looks really nice and stable. And also if you connect the camera like this, you can use this front dial for electronic focusing. So as you can see, maybe, I don't know, as you can see, the lens moves as I turn this wheel right here. Now let's go over battery life of this gimbal. It can run for about 14 hours, which is I think more than good enough for anyone, and it charges via USB Type-C, so you can use it even while it's charging. So you can just plug a power bank and it will still continue to work normally. One downside about battery is that it's not removable at all. On the older Ronins and on the bigger brother of this gimbal, the Ronin S2, you can remove this handle. So if your battery dies, you just change the grip and you have a new fresh battery. On this gimbal you can't do anything, battery is totally built in, but again I don't really see it as huge problem. Yes, it's always better that you can remove battery, but again it runs for 14 hours, you can charge it with USB Type-C, you can use it while it's charging, and it should definitely last a few years, so I don't really think it's that big of a problem. So to summarize everything, I think this is absolutely amazing gimbal, and if you have any DSLR or mirrorless camera, you should probably get this gimbal. It's amazing. I was also thinking to get a 𝗬𝗏𝗰𝗀𝗀S gimbal, which is also a really nice gimbal, but after a few weeks of researching, I think this gimbal is better in almost every single way. This is, if you ask me, just simply better gimbal than 𝗰𝗏𝗀S. If you have a bigger and heavier camera than the DSLRs or mirrorless, then you should probably get the Ronin S2, which is a bigger brother of this gimbal. You will lose this hinge mechanism and some other stuff, but you will get, of course, much heavier payloads. You will get a colored touch screen right here. I don't really need all of those stuff. Again, 3 kg payload is more than enough for my camera and almost any other setup like that. And do you really need a colored touchscreen on a gimbal? I don't really know. To summarize, yes, get this gimbal, it's absolutely amazing, it works perfectly. There are few problems here and there, again, like that Autotune thing or maybe something small like that, but overall it works amazingly well. But again, it's DJI overall, and we all know DJI makes the best gimbals. So yeah, this gimbal is absolutely amazing. And yeah, that's it for this video. If you like it, hit the like button, subscribe. If you want more videos like this, write down in comments. If you have any questions, also write them down in the comments. And yeah, that's it for this video, and I will see you in the next one really soon.